Grab one of those. So I ended up driving 12.5 kilometers, probably what felt like twice, just to come off the Montecristo number 4, $39. And then the good old, my other one's running a little bit flat, so the good old, you can see that, pretty solid flame. Selection wasn't the greatest, but I still, just need one of these to come up with the winning idea just like that. So I'm going to thoroughly enjoy smoking this later. So I'm just going to press play and see what happens. Now when I was driving home earlier from the gym, because I'm a G and I just finished doing my workout, I was thinking about a topic, and what the topic could be that I'd chat about was smoking this Montecristo number 4. I just unwrapped it a little. So I didn't want to just chat about random stuff, I wanted it to have some sort of a point or purpose. And I picked a topic, and the topic's going to be about the 6-month plan. Let me just cut this cigar. You just want to take off that very tip. Actually, it's too much noise, let me shut this door. Okay, I'm back. And so I was going to chat about the next 6 months and putting together a plan. And in the process of that, just want to get the very tip of this off. Just like that. About that much. About that much. Beautiful. You just want to wet the edge slightly. Keep it all nice and good shape. So where was I? This chat is about the next 6 months and putting together a plan, but in the process of talking about it, I thought, let's talk about reinventing yourself. So, first of all, can you actually reinvent yourself? Well, if anybody has moved country or moved town or moved city before, for example, I had to do that with uni, and once I finished uni I had to do that again. And if you've done this before, what you'll notice is when you move to a new place, nobody knows who you are. Doesn't matter what you did through high school. My neighbour was just outside making too much noise, but it doesn't matter who you knew. Now you're starting off fresh and nobody knows who you are. So there's no better time to reinvent yourself than when you move. But let's say you're not moving, so can you still reinvent yourself? Well, yes. Let me just burn this. I'm gonna get this nice and warm first. Get a nice little flame on this end. Let me diverge for a second. I don't actually like cigars, but the reason why I smoke them is because I've seen some pretty cool people smoke them. So, number one, you can be influenced by the people you surround yourself with or the people that you watch. Now, if it was some losers, and when I say losers, I mean no ambition, and that can be for work, that can be to get their body in shape, that can be no ambition to do anything for their family, for their kids, for their parents, for their partner. And also I thought it looked cool. And the other factors is that they're not cheap to get a nice quality cigar. And this is a pretty standard one, the Montecristo number 4 from Cuba. But the point that I'm making is, if you can just drop $50 on a cigar and smoke it in one afternoon and you don't really care about it, that's literally the definition of burning away money. When it comes to a packet of cigarettes, right? And I don't smoke cigarettes. I think they're lame. I think they're for losers. Same with vapes. I'm not the biggest fan of them because, you know, you're 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds tend to smoke vapes, which there's nothing wrong with that, but when you're nearing 30, or even worse, when you're in your 40s and you're still vaping, that's something that should be left to the kids. But let me get back onto topic. Now, reinventing yourself. There's only a few limited things that you can do when it comes to reinventing yourself that you generally have control of, right? Number one is what you think and what you say, or what you listen to. So, in other words, your language. There's not that many things that you generally have control of that you can control to a limited degree. Whether you watch the news, whether you go home and you put on YouTube what YouTube videos you're watching, even the music that you listen to. Right? So number one is your language. And I don't want to get too far into that. But number two, something that you can have control of. So for example, if we talk about business, if we talk about making money, let's say you're 21 years old and you have this idea, right, that one day you're going to have this big company, but one, you're 21, you don't have any qualifications yet, you don't have any contacts, so you're still a fair bit away from actually progressing with that. Now, something that you actually do have control of in that time is your image, right? So when we talk about image, what's the first thing that people see? Well, in the first 7 seconds that they meet you, they can almost characterize or make a judgment of whether they're going to like you, if it comes to doing business, whether they want to do business with you. So the first thing you can control and the easiest is your image through body shape. So one, if you're overweight, right, we all know that you have to get the weight down, because image is perception and perception is reality. I've actually heard of people say, I won't do business with somebody who's overweight, which seems a little bit crazy to start with, but it makes sense, because if they can't even control what they put into their mouth, portion control, then it makes you wonder about the other things that they might not be able to control. And the reality is that there is people that will speak this way, or that will think this way, right? So we've established that number one, your language, what you listen to, who you listen to, in fact. That's another big one. Now, I'll use parents for example because this is an easy one to understand, but who's all had a big idea and the first thing they went and did is told their family, let's say their mum, and what did their mum say? Maybe you should just stick to uni or just go get a good job. There's nothing wrong with that. So one, you have to be careful who you tell these things to, because they limit you. Not for everyone, but for a lot of people it can limit you, right? And the reason that happens is they're on a different path to you, and it's a safety, it's a caring thing. Think about it, if you're a parent, you might even be a parent, but if you had a kid and they come at you with some crazy idea, mocha, for those with a little bit of a sweet tooth, but you don't want to have too sweet and also want that coffee kick, because you got to go do some work later. It's 6 p.m. at night. It's okay to be drinking coffee or caffeine if you're actually going to go do some work. I've still got to go do another workout. I've done cardio today. I've got to go do my press-ups a bit later. Generally try to do 200, split it up into a set of 50, followed by a set of 40, 30, and then I keep it at 20s. But let me get back onto the point. So when your parents try to limit you, or it could even be a partner, it's a safety thing, right? Because if you genuinely want to be successful, and you look at all the most successful people in the world, majority of them took a risk. Now, in many of these cases, there's a degree of luck involved, but they still had to take risk. So I don't want to let this talk go for too long. Let me just heat this cigar back up. Just want to get a little more flavor out of that. There we go. Now, one of the signs of a nicely rolled cigar is that it burns nice and evenly. It's not like a cigarette where you just want to flick off the ash. If you can get a really, really long ash, it's a sign of a good quality cigar. Now I'm going to jump back around a few points because I'm actually thinking off the top of my head as I go, as a professional would do. Now, let me get back to the 6-month plan. So, number one, if you're going to create a plan, is you have to identify your strengths and weaknesses. Now, if you have many strengths, you play on them, but you need to understand your weaknesses. And for example, right, when it comes to doing exercise, one of the things I hate doing is running. One, because it's boring. Two, what am I going to run for? But when I get in the best shape, it's actually when I run. And where I live is kind of close to the city, so there's a lot of traffic, which means I don't want to run during the day, so I can only run at night, typically after 10:30 p.m. Actually, I lied, around about 11 p.m. at night. Mind you, that's pretty late to be going for a run, especially when you've got to wake up at 5:30 a.m. the next morning. It gets the days get a little long, is what I'm trying to say. But the point I'm making is, if you have a weakness, that's what you need to go do. So another thing, right, might be, and I'll use me for example again, I'm so lazy when it comes to posting on social media, but I do know from my actual business that I'm currently doing right now, and I'll get into it, I'm actually a chiropractor. The thing that I hate doing is posting on social media. It's boring, takes my attention away from doing things. I'd rather get outside, go to the beach, go for long drives. But what I do know is from the past, when business was doing really, really well, it was when I was most active on social media. So you identify a weakness and then you try to turn it into a strength. Now, something I might share with anyone who's thinking about smoking cigars, something I actually learned not too long ago, probably about 3 months ago, was the idea when you smoke a cigar is you don't want to let it go out, but also if it's too hot, you start burning the tobacco, I guess, and you get a burnt taste. So the way that I was taught was you want to take one draw or one puff, basically once a minute, and that keeps it at the perfect temperature. And smoking cigars isn't about trying to get a lot of smoke in your mouth. It's actually more so about taste. That's why you see a lot of these. I guess you go to Cuba, but you look at in Europe, and what are those people called? The ones that wear the suits around and they smoke cigars. Actually, can't remember what they're called. I think it's a movie, but what they do is you see a lot of them smoking cigars and whiskey. It's all about taste. and appreciating the effort that went into actually rolling the fine cigar, trying to get a really, really nice flavor. Just have a drink of my mocha. So back to my six-month plan, right? One of the ideas is that we live in this digital age, so almost everything you should be doing should be posted on social media. Now, what the plan is to do, and I don't want to give away too much, is I'm going to start filming long content for my chiropractic page that I'll probably post on YouTube, right? Do one a week, one real long one, a 45-minute to an hour session. Post long format, but since we live in the digital age of TikTok and YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, it's all very short attention span, bam, bam, bam. So what you do is, once you've got enough of that footage, you start cutting it up into very, very short content, and that way you're on Instagram, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, whatever other one comes out, but you've also got the long format content for YouTube for the people that actually want to watch. Now, let me turn on this light. There we go. Notice the difference. I might even take these off because of the... Let's not do that. So as I was saying, you find a weakness and then you basically try to turn it into a strength. And not only does that give you lots more content, but the thing is, right, that the people you're trying to run, you might have a video that's up there for a couple of years and then all of a sudden somebody sees it and let's say it's frozen shoulder and then they come in and see you. You can monetize it, or two, you actually build a genuine following that you can also monetize them, whether it's through subscription businesses or whether it's through ads or something like that. So you've just turned one of your weaknesses into a strength, and you might even enjoy it along the way as well. Let me just play with my computer. But the thing is that you have to be mindful of, and that's why I give it 6 months, is because you need speed. Everything in this world, well, let me say this, if it's worth doing, you want to do it quick, right? Because there's no point, let's say you want a Lambo, having the Lambo when you're 60. What kind of fun is that? You know? I'd rather have it at 30, 35 while you're still young enough and can enjoy it, and then have nothing when you're 60. Did that to get the actual heat back up. A couple more months to the year is done. You may as well start early. The idea is put in a solid 6 months, 3 to 6 months. Give it a really, really good shot. So just go hard, go fast with it. If that fails, you might actually think of it a different idea along the way. And let me jump back to the start of this year. I actually was going to get into e-commerce at the start of this year. And then I figured after a few different things, one, you need too much money up front, and I'd rather not do something that involves a lot of money, because all you do is you risk losing it, and it might not even take off. So when it comes to actually doing this video right now, for example, I've got my phone sitting there on one of those influencer things, the ring light, I guess. They cost me $20. My phone monthly plan, I'm going to use it anyway. It's going to cost me next to nothing. The dearest thing that I'm doing right now is smoking a cigar, which one looks cool, tastes nice, and yeah. So try do things for cheap if you're going to try do them, because if it fails, you don't actually lose anything. Now I'm going to finish off smoking this fine cigar, and I'll come up with another idea for my next video. But make sure, guys, if you haven't got a plan for next year, start early, go to the gym, get your image in check. And when it comes to image as well, so one, you don't need brands. Why would you need branded stuff? You see me, this is Kmart, these are Kmart. These are actually both really old. These socks here, Jordans I think, but I've had them for maybe 3 years. These Pumas, same thing, they're maybe 2 to 3 years old. You don't need all these brands, all they're doing is taking your money. When it comes to clothing, it's fit over fashion. A t-shirt's a t-shirt. And if your body's on point, who even cares? Why would you ever wear a t-shirt? Now I'm going to leave it at that. You can see how much of the cigar is gone. It's burning nicely. It's delicious. And I hope you guys will have a great week. Message me if you need anything. Take care.